getting the news that he had cancer was pretty hard because, that whole summer, I guess, I was just thinking, why me, why us, why our family? After that summer, I kind of switched my mindset, I guess, and I knew he loved wrestling and loved watching me and my brother wrestle, so I figured that was one of the few things I could do to really help him.
Well, Mitchell had to face the facts of life at a very young age. So I think some of the things that Steve brought to his son in his life, you got a chance to see Steve, he had to fight this horrible situation with cancer all the way up through the end, but the fight that he had and his passion for life and living was something that I know you could see still instilled in his sons.
I started wrestling back in kindergarten, I believe, like halfway through. So it's been, I think, 15 years now. My dad, he would always coach me back at home, or we'd talk about moves, and then at tournaments he'd sit in my corner. So he said after like my 7th grade season, he's like, you won more matches this season than I did my whole wrestling career, because he only wrestled for 2 years in high school, and it was great having him.
Well, I've known the McKee family for quite some time. Helped out with a lot of club wrestling as they were youth growing up, and so I've known them since they were little, 5, 6 years old.
It was a lot of fun growing up with a younger brother that I could wrestle and play around with, but he's a year and 8 months younger than me, so he was wrestling in like preschool. He started wrestling already, and he loved it too.
Here's a funny story. My husband and I built a wrestling room in our basement, and we had padded walls, so Patrick and him would dress up in like 10 layers deep, and then the outside layer, the very outside layer, would be like a robe, like almost like a Rocky, and they would bounce off each other in the wrestling room. And when we sold our house back in 2011, and we took the padded walls off, and there were holes in the sheetrock everywhere.
They're different individuals, I think, in different ways. I see the big thing about Mitchell as a competitor, he's fearless, and that makes him very difficult to compete against. The bigger the match, the better he wrestles. His brother coming in, I think, carries a lot of those same attributes. One thing about Patrick, I just see some crazy toughness in him.
I'm very excited to have Pat come here to the U of M and be able to have him on this team and kind of be his mentor. I couldn't ask for anything better.
I think my dad would be, I know he would be super proud of us both. I think he would also like the fact that we both decided to stay in Minnesota and stay next to Mom and all of our family and friends. Stay with the coaches who have been kind of there for us through the whole process.
Also coming here, I have people around me that know what I've been through and have always been there to support me, and I know will continually be there to support me.
And this was a really touching moment, I think, in everyone's lives, that followed wrestling, that knew the McKee family. And so you watch a guy like Mitchell that goes out and competes for his father at such a young age, knowing that this may be the last moment that he has for his father to compete and to lay it all on the line like that.
Whenever I'm down and I feel like it's getting tough, I always think of what he'd want me to do, and just keep my attitude positive and give 100% effort in anything I do.
After Steve passed away, I kept making sure they knew that we'd get through this, that he was always there. And I've felt him there. Every year since that state tournament, I've sat in that same seat. And when Patrick won his sophomore year, honest to goodness, I felt a breeze all of a sudden after Patrick won on the back of my neck. I'm like, all right, you're here.
When Mitchell wanted to make his commitment to be a Gopher, it was early in his high school career, and part of the reason to do that was because his father wanted to be a part of his future and know where he was going and help him with that decision. And Steve will always be a part of their life. I can tell when the boys are competing, they sense that their father, and they're not just wrestling for themselves or their team, but they're also wrestling to make their father proud. And I know he's looking down on them and couldn't be more happy of how his boys have grown up.